update pertaining to Megan Boswell. As most of you know, she has been found guilty on all 19 counts. After receiving her sentence, guilty verdict rather, her attorney filed a motion for a new trial. He asked for the charges to be thrown out or a new trial. Well, he's asking on her behalf for a new trial. The jury found her guilty once again on all 19 counts, and she must do life in prison, and she can come up for parole after 51 years, which I didn't like that very much. But anyway, she's already 20-something years of age, so if indeed they add the other charges on, she won't be daylight, period. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. I'm going to play you audio pertaining to the sentencing, then commentary from the state and commentary from her lawyer. And then I will read you information pertaining to her attorney filing a motion for a new trial. Just the audacity of them even asking the court to consider a new trial is a slap in the face to this baby. Thank you for your time. This is live number 2.
Out of the courtroom there, we'll continue to watch and listen back in at this point.
All right. Ms. Boswell, count 1, the jury of your peers having set your punishment, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. Count 2, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. Count 3, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. We'll have to set this for sentencing hearing where we'll deal with merger, other issues, as well as sentencing in counts 4 through 20. She waived the 45 days, Mr. Scott. She does. Sentencing in this case for May the 8th.
Judge, that is not good for me. I have a murder trial in Park County very next month. Thank you.
May the 16th.
I expect the Park County murder trial. We've got 2 weeks blocked off.
May the 23rd.
Mr. O'Meara.
Sentencing will be held May 23rd. Pre-sentence report needs to be filed no later than April the 15th.
Judge, you have May the 22nd.
I do.
Will you set instead?
We can't.
Thank you.
They give it to the state.
Yes, Judge.
All right, May 22nd. We'll say 1:30. At 1:30 p.m. Report by the Department of Corrections will be filed no later than April the 15th. All right. Anything else we need to take up?
I think that's good.
Mr. Horn?
Yes, Judge. I think from this point going forward, since Mr. Scott was primary counsel on this case, I would make an oral motion to be relieved as co-counsel on behalf of Megan Boswell going forward.
You'll be relieved. You are appearing as co-counsel pro bono.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court thanks you for your service.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Mr.
Court will be recessed till Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. for the next trial.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, there we see the feet stopping there out of the room there. 3 counts of life, 3 life sentences, basically what the jury is recommending on those first 3 charges for the first-degree murder, felony murder, and second felony murder charge there. That would be life, we would understand, with the possibility of parole.
Yes, he has to serve a full 51 years before she'd be eligible for parole. If you count the 5 years, which we will count the 5 years she has already served, so she would be 69 years of age before she would be eligible to get out of jail. Now, that is the recommendation from the jury. The official sentencing will happen May 22nd at 1:30.
And that has to come from the judge. Then we also have to count the counts 4 through 20, the other charges that she was convicted of this morning as well. There will be sentencing that will come with those.
Along with fines.
And all of that will come together on that the May 22nd date there. So, but that is the recommendation from the jury, is the life in prison is what they've recommended for Megan Boswell.
So she will be eligible for parole is what we're learning. We will have Boswell verdict.
Sorry about that, everybody.
And the sentencing coming up on News 5 and, of course, online and on all our outlets.
All of our digital platforms as well. You have all of our coverage as well throughout this trial. But Megan Boswell found guilty on all 19 charges, and today sentenced with 3 life sentences. They're recommended, I should say. We will return you back to regular programming and have complete coverage of this beginning here today at 5 on News 5 and, of course, online as well.
All right, everybody. Found guilty, all 19 counts, life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after serving 51 years. She will be eligible at the age of 69. Her attorney has asked to have a new trial. As you heard, co-counsel, he has asked the court to relieve him of his duties as second counsel because he was working pro bono. And now I'm going to read you the said information pertaining to her filing for a new trial. Now, naturally, the other sentences that were mentioned can either be consecutive or concurrent. Now, concurrent means lesser time per charge. Okay, and usually only give you concurrent if you have a charge that is not a serious charge. But when you're dealing with murder, robbery, you will tend to get a judgment of consecutive, which means she's got to do her first sentence, which would be the murder. And then she'd have to do time for the other 16 charges, which is the child abuse, neglect, filing a false report. So if you count however many years they want to give per each of those counts, she won't be coming outdoors. Because you don't know if they'll give 2 years per lying or 3 years per count. That's said information on that if you're needing to know what consecutive means versus concurrent. Concurrent means probably lesser time per charge. Concurrent means she's got to do her first charge, which would be the murder. And then she would have to do time for the other 16 charges. Megan Boswell was found guilty on all 19 of her charges, which included 3 counts of first-degree murder, sentenced to life in prison by a jury Thursday, which is today. However, her attorney filed a motion for a new trial on the same afternoon. Jury hands Megan Boswell life after guilty verdict. According to a motion filed at 2:41 p.m. today, Boswell's attorney, Gene Scott, has asked the court to dismiss the charges against her or grant her a new trial. There was insufficient evidence in the record to support the defendant's convictions for first-degree murder, 2 counts of felony murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated child neglect, tampering with evidence, 11 counts of false reports, abuse of a corpse, failure to report a death under suspicious, unusual, or unnatural circumstances, the motion reads. In addition to the claim of insufficient evidence, Scott claimed the multiple false report counts violate the protections against double jeopardy in the United States and Tennessee constitutions. Boswell was found guilty on all 19 of her charges in the death of her baby daughter, Evelyn Boswell, after a week-long trial that brought more than 30 witnesses to the stand. After finding her guilty on the 3 first-degree murder charges, all of which demand a form of a life sentence, the jury was tasked with deciding whether that sentence should include the possibility of parole. Boswell's defense called 3 witnesses in a brief sentencing trial to illustrate the difficulties she faced growing up. So she really shouldn't be able to get out just on the 3 charges because she's been found guilty on all 3 of the murder charges. So really she shouldn't even get out, period, if I'm reading this correctly. All right. The jury ultimately sentenced her to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Boswell must serve 51 years before she's eligible for parole, and a sentencing hearing has been set for May 22nd. During that hearing, Judge Jim Goodwin could rule that the sentence on Boswell's other 16 charges be served consecutively or concurrently with her murder sentence. So as I explained to you all before, consecutively would be she would have to do time for the murder charges, and then serve her time for the other charges that I read. Concurrently means she'd serve all of the 19 together. We don't want her serving them all together. Hell no. Because then you're trying to divide, 52 by 19. No, ma'am. 51 years by 19. No. She needs to serve her murder charges. And if she still has breath in her, oh well. Because it seems to me if you've been found guilty on 3 murder charges, 3 counts. That's life in itself with no parole. So once again, 51 years served in prison. She'll be 69 years of age. And then she's still, if they give her the charges consecutively, once again, she'll have to do the 51 first and then serve the other charges after the 51 years. And those counts are, once again, aggravated child abuse, aggravated child neglect, tampering with evidence, 11 counts of false reports, abuse of corpse, failure to report a death under suspicious, unusual, unnatural circumstances. I believe she is guilty of everything that they have in this filing. You neglected your child by leaving your child in a filthy house. Tampering with evidence, yes. 11 counts of the false reports, yes. Abuse of a corpse, yes. You put your child in a garbage can and you left her there. You didn't, under suspicious, unusual, unnatural circumstances. You did that. You knew your child was in the garbage can and you never told anybody she was there. And even when you were confronted with your child being missing by the Department of Human Services and detectives, you still lied on other people saying they had your child. And then you made up a lie that you rolled over on a child and Hunter took your child and disposed of your child somewhere when you knew all along you killed your child. And you put your child in a plastic bag, wrapped her head in foil, packed her down with another black plastic bag. She was also in a brown paper sack as well, inside of a white plastic bin, wrapped in a blanket as well, and stuffed down in a can to where her face was flattened and her body was contorted into a backwards letter S. Did I make that clear? So you're guilty of every fucking count. Now, I don't know anything about this double jeopardy business, but as far as the false reports, but you lied. I think that's been proven. And as you heard, a foster mother spoke on her behalf to give her freedom at some point. Her child, which is murder. Her mother spoke, crying and babbling up there on the witness stand. And then her biological grandmother, Mrs. Boswell, spoke on her behalf. And I didn't like her attitude because they asked her something about witnessing abuse between her son and her daughter-in-law, Megan's mother, Angela. And she just, quit back. I ain't never seen nothing. And Queen knows better. You damn hillbillies live right next to each other in damn houses and trailers. You want me to believe in 20-something years that you stayed on that property with your son, you never heard once an argument or a fight and never witnessed an argument or a fight between these two. You must think those people in that courtroom were bobbleheads. It has already been proven that these people were volatile towards one another. Okay? An incident with Angela and a man coming up there on the property. She had a boyfriend on the property, and Mr. Boswell and the son confronted the man, and they exacted violence against him. So I'm going to ask you, where were you when that happened? I'll wait. What were you doing? Tilling the soil? And you're taking a nap. So you can tell a lot about people when they testify. You can tell the true spirit of a man or a woman when they go in that witness box. And you saw that the past week of everyone that testified in this trial. And I find it very, very interesting that today, Ms. Boswell was given the opportunity to speak, because that's your right. When you go to trial and you have been sentenced, you have a right to speak, possibly before and after sentencing. She didn't say a word. Why not? You would think at one point in this sick person's head, they would say to themselves, well, you know what? I'm found guilty. Let me say something. Please forgive me for what I've done to my child. But they probably had already talked to her attorneys, told her, don't say nothing because we're going to file for a new trial. So don't say nothing that can, implicate you for the next round. Just the audacity to sit there and listen to all these people speak and tell all your personal business, show pictures of your trailer, how disgustingly, how you lived on that compound with a toddler, and to act like you've done nothing to your baby, then found guilty, and then your attorney has the audacity to ask for a new trial. I thought I'd heard it all when she didn't even want to speak on her own damn behalf today, just to at least plead with the court to preserve her damn life. And I can tell you from yesterday's court appearance, you can tell she realized this was serious, because she had that deer in the headlight look yesterday while in court. You can tell she was sick to death and scared. That's why she kept her hands. It was down to the wire. And she was scared of what those 12 members of a jury were going to decide. And they did decide guilty. Thank you, Jesus. And as for the death penalty, I wish they had, but they probably felt like because she's a female, most people wouldn't vote to kill a woman. Even if it was, the murder of a child, their own child. And you've seen this just with sentencing women in sexual abuse cases. They don't get a lot of time, such as men. Because I think a lot of people just can't wrap their heads around women, you know what I'm saying, doing heinous crimes, even with the evidence sitting right there in front of them. They don't want to put a woman to death. So I think that the state did not recommend the death penalty. They didn't want this girl getting off. Because as someone said in an article, they could just vote not guilty with the death penalty being on the table. But I think all states should have the death penalty for anybody that unalives a child. And I asked you all that question on my community page. I will go over those polls after I play the rest of these videos pertaining to her lawyer speaking and the state speaking. But once again, Megan Boswell has been found guilty on all 19 counts. She will go to court in May to receive her sentencing, and also her lawyer has filed a motion to motion for a new trial. I'm sure some of you were not expecting that, but it is what it is. It's the world that we live in. And he's talking about getting backlash for representing her. Yes, we know that everyone's entitled to counsel. That's the state law. United States Constitution says you're entitled to representation. But, you put on in that courtroom like she hadn't done anything. You even claim to say that she's a good person. You don't know Megan Boswell from a can of paint. So that's BS. You don't know her. You don't know anything about her. And there's no way you could sit there in your right mind listening to the evidence presented by the state to say she's a good woman. She was a good mother. No mother would live like that in her own home. Nobody halfway decent would live like that with or without children. You would take a dog and live in the filth like that. Definitely, you don't take a child and live in there. So how can you say she was a good person living in squalor for no damn reason? And the evidence showed she had no regard for her child because the child's face was flattened when they pulled her out of the garbage can, which means somebody held her down in that can and stuffed her down in there to make sure she was down in there. Because she could have been just placed in the garbage can. But she was wrapped tight. So that's deliberate. That's deliberate. And that girl forced that baby in that garbage can. Made sure she was down in there. So you can weigh it. She wanted to make sure she was concealed, or she was alive and she suffocated her baby alive, which is torture. So she does not deserve a new trial. I'll come back to the questions after I play this these videos, everybody. This is the state prosecutor giving their commentary pertaining to the trial.
A lot of hard work by a lot of people, so it's very satisfying to get the jury's verdict.
Normally, we sometimes hear a victim statement in cases like this. We didn't hear one this time. Maybe a little bit from Tommy Boswell, but it seems like you are the advocate for evidence. What do you have to say about that?
That's a complicated question, to say the least. Obviously, there are a lot of emotions in this case. Even within the Boswell family. I mean, you all saw Tommy testify. I mean, his daughter was the defendant. His granddaughter was the victim in this case. A lot of emotions. Same thing with Angela. So, but we're fortunate, and I'd be remiss without talking about the incredible work that was done by law enforcement in this case. And, as a community, could not be prouder to have.
Roses are
Brief intermission. Or they have to have commercials, an 8-minute video.
Those folks who really, from the get-go, from the time she was reported missing, have really been her biggest advocates.
Thank the Lord.
5 years to see, ultimately what we realized here in the courtroom today, which was justice for everyone.
That exhaustive investigation, all of the interviews, all of the forensic evidence together, this vast majority of knowledge, we still may never know exactly what happened. Did you have to rely on the jury's common sense and taking like a shred of doubt and separating that from what reasonable doubt is?
To some extent. I mean, I think, always coming from a prosecutor, it's I guess easy to say, well, we think you should decide the case this way. But this really was, a textbook example of, just excellent police work. For us to be able to come into the courtroom, to be able to present a case where you really don't have direct evidence. I mean, we didn't have a confession. We didn't have a video of the crime being committed. We had to rely on a lot of circumstantial evidence, and as we argued during closing argument, you're going to have to use your common sense to fill in some of those gaps that were there. So yes.
General Boswell, during closing, was talked about the baby Evelyn mattered. What you come up with that? Because it's the truth. She mattered and she deserved to live. And so I never did know. How hard was it working on this case, seeing all those images, the baby trusting? It's very difficult. It's difficult to show something like that to a jury or the public. But it's important that we show everyone what Andrew Boswell did. It's difficult, but we're willing to do it. It's find justice.
Talk about the impact that this community has had these questions by.
Right, and I think that was difficult. Unfortunately, we made some very purposeful decisions as we were prosecuting the case, which I think a lot of people kind of took umbrage with. We did not release much about this case on purpose because we wanted to try the case here in Sullivan County. And I think that caused a lot of heartburn among people not to have those answers, not to know that information about the case. And kind of told them just to be patient because we wanted to try the case in the courtroom. And we feel like that's what we did.
They did a good job, very good job.
I don't know that there was any one singular piece of evidence. I think the difficult thing in this case really is those interviews with Megan and the fact that, her story kept changing, kept shifting. And, there were lots of little things, that kind of ruled other things out. But I think ultimately, it was a lot of her own words that were her undoing in this case.
What about how the baby was found? That is something that I think is difficult. You could tell from day one the images showed jurors were crying, she was crying.
Right. Easy, kind of low-hanging fruit, so to speak. We wanted the focus to be on the homicide. We wanted it to be on Evelyn and what happened to her, and that was why we kind of hit the jury right in the face, right out of the gate. And so, like I said, that was strategy on our part as far as how we kind of put the trial together. We wanted them to. Right. This was a homicide case. This wasn't just somebody lied to the police case.
Meg will be eligible for parole when she's about 69 years old. As a prosecutor team, you asked for life without the possibility of parole.
TV.
Decided to give her a chance. We will continue to fight to keep her in custody for her natural life. Can she be sworn into herself with the charges that she received?
She can. The judge will still have to sentence her on all the false report counts, the tampering, the use of a court. So, in theory, he could run those consecutive, and he could stack that time on top of what she's already received for the homicide. So,
Which I hope he does.
we did. There'll be a sentencing report, and then we'll have a sentencing hearing. That's what's set at the end of May, and then we'll go from there. We'll argue what her sentence should be on this.
Do you know how many years she was at for all those additional charges?
Yes, the false reports, should be looking at 2 to 4 years on those. The tampering charge will be 3 to 6, and I think the abuse of a corpse and the failure to report are both 1 to 2 years on those.
Interesting.
One of the reasons why I said everyone else is underwater, but clearly, whether it was in the community or certainly defensive strategy, that was a gift that they wanted. That you guys were able to put up, showing what was going on, what apparently was going on in the community in Underwood's mind as this child was never.
All right, you want to comment?
I think they're very, very important. I don't know how you can overcome that. Not we found the out of there's explanation.
Is there anything else going on tonight? It's been very long, almost 2 weeks.
Well, like I said before, I mean, I think if the community ever had any doubt about how hard law enforcement works, I hope they had a chance to see that in action in this trial, because, like I said, really could not have asked for any more diligent, exhausting efforts than what we saw from our local law enforcement here at the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, TBI, FBI. I mean, it truly was a coordinated effort.
It's just the first time in a while for you. I know the judge mentioned that a jury had been sequestered.
It was. I don't know that I was part of the last one, but I know it's been about 20 years since the last time we sequestered a jury. So. Anything else? No, thank you all.
So that's the state, and I guess a law enforcement officer speaking pertaining to Megan Boswell and getting justice for baby Evelyn. Amen. Baby Evelyn finally got justice 5 years later. As I said earlier, look at God. God is good. He favored this child, and thanking the judicial system, law enforcement, the state attorneys, the judge, 12 members of the jury, and everyone who aided some form of fashion to bring forward information to help get justice for this baby girl. Thank God. Because we have seen how sometimes people don't get justice, children don't get justice. And frankly, we shouldn't even have to be looking at a trial of a person standing accused of killing a kid, but that's the thing, you can't control what people do. But there's no logical reason to take the life of a child. There's just no logical reason. The children are innocent, and she had options. If she did not want to raise her child, she could have reached out to someone, adoption agency or the state of Tennessee, and say, hey, I can't take care of this kid. They would have came and picked the child up. It is what it is. So there was no reason for her to murder this kid. She could have gone on with her life with one of those options. And even if nobody wanted to take the baby in, foster mother or somebody's friend, ex-boyfriend's mother, whomever, she could have just, as I said, adoption or the state. And there are people looking for babies, looking for children to adopt. Most people like infants because, they want to be able to mold the child, to their liking, to their background, their way of living. It's just the way it is. Because you've seen a lot of children that go into foster care and they end up aging out of foster care. It's a terrible situation. But the child could have had possibly a better life than what she got. And naturally, the flip side of that as well, people take in kids and their lives end up being just as jacked up and worse than where they came from. But Evelyn wasn't even given the opportunity to go live with somebody else to see if she could have a better life. She was never granted that luxury. Snuffed out at 15 months. And as you have seen the pictures of her, she was a beautiful baby. Now, will there be documentaries pertaining to this case? I'm sure. Down the road, somebody will come along. I'll probably give it before the end of the year. There will be a documentary or two made about the life of Megan Boswell and her parents and how she ended up in this situation. I'm sure somebody will reach out to her mother and father to talk to them, to give commentary on their life together, raising their children, and how she became a monster. Maybe she didn't want to, maybe she didn't plan to, but she did. And she didn't have to, because as I said, she had options. All she had to do was reach out to someone to say, hey, I'm spiraling out of control. I'm spiraling downward. I'm getting worse. I feel worse. I feel bad. I feel sick, whatever it is that she was going through. Mentally feeling overwhelmed. She should have reached out to somebody, and possibly this baby would be alive today. But she chose the selfish way, which was to murder her child, and then she kept it moving. And the fact that she was so callous with the lying and manipulating and blaming other people, which shows you she doesn't have any empathy. And that, to me, is a dangerous person. Because you see, you can have no empathy and never commit murder. You're still dangerous because of your thought process. And I've always said that about people with no empathy, people who are devoid of emotion, people who lie. How far are you willing to go in covering a lie? How far are you willing to go in being devoid of emotions, having no empathy? Because you see, one thing begets another. And she learned no empathy from these two heathens that raised her. They never showed love. And see, I've talked about that too when it comes to children who have abusive parents. Most kids want to be with their parents, even when they have the worst parents. And you saw that by the testimony from the foster mother. She wanted to still be up under her own mother. Knowing her mother has not been good to her, has not reared her properly. But she wanted to be with her mother, but it did not work. That's the very reason how she got in foster care. going from the father's house to the mother. The mother wouldn't make her go to school. She went into foster care. The foster mother said she tried to help her. She was already pregnant when she came to her house. She was doing well. She was following through, taking care of the baby. But then something went terribly wrong. Once she left that foster mother's house, she went back to Tommy's property. He gave her a trailer, car, all of those things. Something happened. Don't know if she suffered from postpartum depression or not. Don't know if she's ever diagnosed. Don't know if she ever told anybody she wasn't well. Don't know if she's on any meds. I never heard that. But she spiraled downward once she got back to her father's house, to his property. Something snapped. And I don't know what, but when you look at the state of the trailer tells you her state of mind. She did not care for herself. She did not care for Evelyn. God has blessed you to have a free place to live, a car to drive, and you can't even keep your own home clean. And you need to recognize that Evelyn was crawling around in that filth. So the audacity of a lawyer to say this woman is a good woman, good mother. She didn't abuse her kid, neglect her kid. You have got to be kidding me. I'm sitting here thinking, did you not see that trailer? So if I'm looking at this trailer that's filthy and nasty, and then you have this man describing what was in the trailer who cleaned the trailer, just imagine what she was doing with her kid. Probably absolutely nothing. She probably wasn't even watching Evelyn. Okay? And that's what people need to understand about children and being in public and seeing people navigate. Just because I'm looking at you hold your baby, kiss your baby in public, that means nothing compared to what you're doing behind closed doors. Well, we saw pictures of the trailer, so we now know how the child and the mother were living. It was all a facade. It was a ruse. It was a lie. And you can see the lies. We saw the lies in court. We heard the testimony, the videos of interrogation, all the people who testified that she lied. So what is it that people are missing? What is it that her attorneys are missing? She's been putting on for years. She's been acting for years because she came from grand actors. So people saw her out in public with her daughter and thought, oh, she's a good mother, or the baby seemed clean to me. Well, you didn't see how she was living in her trailer. And you've heard testimony that the baby smelled and the baby was dirty. Now, just because one day somebody else saw the baby and the baby wasn't dirty, the trailer told the story. How can you be confused after seeing the pictures from the trailer? You'd have to be out your damn mind. So she put on when she went to the street. And many people live this way, filthy, nasty. People put on for other people in public, making themselves seem important. They care for their kids, dote on their kids. But then when they get home, another person emerges. Satan comes out. So no telling what she was doing to that little girl in that trailer and when no one was looking. And that's probably about as disturbing as what we saw of the garbage can and the child wrapped up in a plastic bag, even though we didn't get to see, her remains, but you can use your imagination. It wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Megan Boswell has been living a lie for many years. And finally, her lies came to the surface. She unalived her child. And we saw that with the interrogations. And we saw the testimony in the court. And that's enough for me. I pray she never sees daylight. Now we're going to hear from her attorney. Hope you all are well out there. This is live number 2, everybody. I will go over my polls after I play this last video. Miss Sammy Nicole, how are you down there? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody is well. They play enough commercials, I tell you that. I don't know why the volume is so low on these videos.
Obviously, Gail spent more time with her than I have in that type of situation. Most of my conversations, all of my conversations with Megan have been sitting in a jail cell talking about her case. But she seems to be a very positive person. She seems strong in her faith, and she's going to handle this. It seems like she'll move through this adversity. She will have a chance to get out of prison when she's 69.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like that was a win today, though? Being able to hear that she will possibly get out of prison?
I would say that obviously it was better than life without sentence. Assuming she lives to be 69 years old, she will be released. So maybe she'll have some time at the end of her life to enjoy.
Is there something about cases that are this horrifying, go on this long and get this such media attention that raises the possibility of a feeling of retribution higher than it might otherwise?
Well, certainly, if you look at the comments on the news articles, Facebook comments, people seem to be very much up in arms over this case, and it's a sad case. I know I've been criticized a lot in the media because of defending Megan, but everyone's entitled to a defense, and that's what I hope I provided her. I try to do that to the best of my ability. Absolutely not.
You decided to pull 3 witnesses for this part of the trial. Why did you decide to do that? Then talk about why.
He rocking back and forth, mercy.
As far as today was just witnesses, there are 2 phases of the trial, and all witness testimony has to be relevant. So these witnesses, their testimony wouldn't have been relative to guilt or innocence, but it was relevant to sentencing. Her mom, to her credit, come up here and testified that she wasn't a good mother, and I respect her for that, because it had to be hard to go on TV and take that responsibility, but she did it. I don't know that. I imagine yes.
Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we read through the first part because they were not all.
Yeah.
But you guys can, go ahead. We'll let them break down and
Okay.
start the first couple questions.
So,
This was mine.
this was yours. Well, I mean, this court on it, so somebody's going to court for this thing.
All right, so very brief, 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes of talking. Well, as he said, his conversations consisted of talking to her while in the jail. He said it was noble of her mother, Angela, to get on the witness stand to tell the world she was not a good mother, and that she will be able to be paroled possibly by the age of 69. But that's possible. We don't know for sure until May, when she goes before the judge to get her rendering sentencing, because she's still facing other charges, abuse of a corpse and filing a false report, aggravated neglect, so on and so forth. And each of those charges are ranging from, about 1 to 4 years, 1 to 6 years. So it's no telling what she's going to get per charges. You're still talking about, may still be, sorry about that, everybody, buffering. She still may be incarcerated past the age of 69. And I think, she deserves to be brought out in a box. I'll be 105 years old when she comes up for parole, so I possibly won't even be alive when she goes. But the point is, I pray that before I take my last breath, she is still incarcerated, because she doesn't deserve 1 day out here. No. And people can say whatever they want. I have no problems with what I have said about her, because I remember this case fluidly from 5 years ago, And I told myself when I first saw her give the interview about going to Mendota to find her mother, I knew then she was lying, because she was smirking when she gave that interview to the news. And we now have seen the unedited version from Court TV of that interview, where somebody was in the background trying to tell her to tell the truth to the news. And she was shushing the person, telling them to be quiet. It sounded like a woman. So I don't know who that woman was. I don't know if it was a woman who she was staying with, because I do remember she stayed with some lady briefly before she was arrested. But that showed also the true side of Megan, right there live on a camera. And they have finally now shown us that unedited part of the video where she was shushing somebody who was saying, you might as well tell them what happened. Just tell them, they're going to find out anyway. And the first thing I thought was, we're going to find out what? What is it that we were going to find out? She still kept lying. So what was this person talking about? She was showing you right then. She was going to hold her version, or whichever version she gave. And that's the whole point. There were so many versions you couldn't even keep up. Even the news guy said that in one of the videos I played from last week. He said, every time you look up, your head's spinning just from all these versions and stories and the courtroom, commentary from this female. I'm sure nobody could keep up. Even in the court, you couldn't keep up. So imagine what the detectives were going through, and the TBI agents and the people who were dealing with her and the people going on. And I don't think people really understand the severity of being accused of holding a child hostage or kidnapping a kid. So it wouldn't surprise me that boy Hunter flipped out, because first of all, we don't really know him. We don't know what his mental state was before he got tangled up with Megan. And so now you're being accused of taking a kid or killing a kid, and then this girl implicates you, and the fact that he was nice to her, he didn't have sex with her or did whatever he did with her, taking her in, riding her around, taking her to his father's house, and then you would tell people I killed your kid? That's some cold SHIT. That's some cold shit. Come on now. And that's what was said in court. All the people that got wrapped up in her snare, all the people she lied on for no them in the back, or as I would say, stabbed them in the throat with a dagger, because that's exactly what she did. And what's the old saying? You don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's exactly what she did. And now that young man is at a mental institution. Don't know if he'll ever get out. Don't really know what's wrong with him, his diagnosis. But I think anybody would feel some type of way against Megan being implicated in taking a child or hiding a child. Now, naturally, she told the detectives, no, I don't think they would hurt the kid. Oh, she made sure not to say that. Oh, thank you for being so kind. But when you're dealing with a situation like this, and you're watching the news and you don't really know what's going on, you don't know what to believe. You don't know who did. You don't know if the child's dead or alive. You don't know anything. You just know this is the version the person is giving. Hey, I left the kid with the father. Hey, my mama came and got the kid. It went from person to person to person to person. So then you knew she was lying, because it's like we've gone from a guy in the military to now the mother. So now I rolled over on the kid. My friend dumped the kid somewhere, but I don't know where. And the court told the story. Ethan couldn't have got on the property with your kid because there was a key fob. So the gate stayed locked to the property. So nobody could just enter in and out as they free will. You'd have to have access to a key fob to get into the property. So see, that messed her up on that lie. He dumped her baby. The defense would have to say, well, or the state would have to say, yeah, well, Hunter did it with her. They were together. She had access to the key fob. And I want that when he put her out. The father probably got, I don't know, got the key fob back from her. Why would he want her having access to his property if he's evicting her? So we could ask that question as well. Did he ever get the key fob back? Because we really don't know when the child was unalived. We don't know when Tommy put her out. And to this day, I'm curious to that. And I think it's interesting we didn't get any of that in the court. Why not? When did she unalive the little girl? What day? Did she still have access to the property? When and where did she kill the kid? Did she kill the kid after the father evicted her? He told her, I want you out. Then she decided to kill the kid, dump the kid in the shed, and then pack up her stuff. She packed up the kid's stuff, put it in the shed, and then she left. Did she turn the key fob in? Or was she walking around here, living from place to place with the kid to the property and brought the kid back? See, we don't know. And we probably never know. That's her attorney. She only has one attorney now representing her. Co-counsel has removed himself from future proceedings pertaining to Megan Boswell. We will now go to my community page, and you will get the answers to the polls that I asked earlier. Thank you for joining me. Should persons face the death penalty in all states for murder of children despite their ages? And that means despite the age of the child. 89% yes, 11% not sure. Should a judge grant Megan Boswell a new trial? 5% yes, 90% no, 5% not sure. 9% yes, 36% says not sure. Should the state have imposed the death penalty for Megan Boswell? 50% yes, 50% no. Megan Boswell receives life with possibility of parole after 51 years. Now her attorney has asked for a new trial on grounds of insufficient evidence and double jeopardy on multiple false reports charges. Did the jury give the best verdict? 5 of you voted. 60% of you said yes. 40% of you said should have been life without parole. And this is a video here of an African-American woman who has decided to speak to the news about not getting care for her children alongside her mother and her children. They were sleeping in a van in a parking lot garage at this Detroit casino, and 2 of the children were found deceased, allegedly frozen to death. She has decided to speak to the news, weigh in and take the poll. Do you believe this woman should be charged with the murder of her 2 children? She said she reached out to shelters in Detroit, was turned away. They said they had no beds. Allegedly, a certain worker was supposed to come out to meet her pertaining to one of the shelters, but they never did for some reason. I'd like to know why. She also said she reached out to shelters and places out of state and didn't get a response. Is she telling the truth? I'm going to go ahead and play this content, and you decide what you think of this mother. And also, the baby daddy, he has spoken, and his attitude is quite ripe pertaining to finding out his children died in a van. Let's hear this commentary, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the File Excel.
The 29-year-old mother of the 2 kids that likely froze to death Monday in the parking structure of the Hollywood casino.
Maybe I asked the wrong people for help. But that was the only thing I did wrong.
Tatiana, remembering how many times she reached out for a place to live, she asked the father of the 2 kids that died.
He had an excuse every time. Either he's working, they can't come where he's living. He lived with a female, and the parents and them don't want kids.
So asked the city of Detroit for help.
I reached out in November. I reached out before that. I've been on the CAM list for a long time. And every time I call the agency to have a bed, they said they don't have family beds.
So the 7 of them have been sleeping in their 2002 Town and Country van since November. But the kids had everything else.
They ate every day, all day. Goodies, food. They didn't want for nothing. Every day they went to school. I have one mistake.
Who was this? Her mother? Because they said the mother was there too.
49-year-old Yvette Goodman was also in the van that day. Did the van run out of gas?
I have no idea what happened. I have no idea.
Did you fall asleep?
Yes.
And then when you
Only night I fell asleep. I usually be woke.
and when you woke up, what happened?
My grandson wasn't.
Oh, that's the mother. That's the grandmother.
A GoFundMe account has been set up to help the family.
That's one of the reasons we did set the GoFundMe up so she will be able to have housing for herself and the children, her other remaining children.
We'll put a link to the GoFundMe account on our website, fox2detroit.com.
That's all I wanted to do was sleep somewhere safe.
In Detroit, Sharp.
What's the truth? Why were they homeless? People gonna ask that. She's been homeless for a while. Looks like spring, summer. What happened? Her mother was also sleeping in the van with her and her kids too. What happened, everybody? Weigh in.
Mistake, and look at how the world is judging her.
The cousin of the mother who took her 5 children and their grandmother to the 9th parking lot level of the Hollywood Casino early Monday morning. And when the gas ran out of their car, so did the heat. And 2 of her kids, a 9-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl, froze to death.
She asked for help. She asked the right people. She was scared of what the world would think of her, so she did privately the right thing. She asked the city, and what they do, they told her they couldn't help her.
And the mayor acknowledged that because of this incident, he is asking the deputy mayor, as well as the housing director, to review this situation and then come back with policies to help those who need housing.
If during the day you are in danger of homelessness, you call the hotline. It's spelled well publicized, 866-313-2520. But if it's after 6 o'clock at night and an incident's happened, you've been pushed out of the house, you're in an emergency situation, go to your police precinct.
Well, what's the purpose of going to the police precinct if you don't have any beds for people to sleep in? Where's the police going to house you? In a church? They're going to call somebody else? I mean, I'm trying to understand. If a person calls the main shelter in the city and then they call another shelter and they say, well, no, we don't have anywhere for you to stay, then where are the police? I mean, I'm just asking, where's the police going to put a family? Because you're talking about a lot of people. That's probably the reason why the people who she was staying with, they wanted them out of the house, because you have to use common sense. It costs to household. And the more people are in your house, the more water you're using, the more heat you're using, the more toiletries you're using, soap, toilet paper, food. Now, I'm assuming she gets food stamps or something for her children. She said the children were eating all the time, eating every day. So perhaps she could, provide food for her kids living in somebody else's house. But it's still a lot, taking a lot of people. They got to have somewhere to sleep. And then, people don't want you, sleeping on their furniture. They may not want you in the floor. It is a person's home. So we're talking about a lot of people. And I'm trying to understand why she and her mother both were homeless. Why was her mother homeless? See, something's not right with this story. 2 women who are possibly able-bodied, why are they homeless with their children and sleeping in this van? So now I have to use deduction that wherever they came from, evicted or couldn't pay the rent, they were living together as well. This is deep. Now, these other people who are talking to up here on their behalf, she couldn't stay with you and her kids? The cousin? Where do you live? The father? Why couldn't you help? Why do you have excuses that you couldn't come to the kids? You work, you live with a girlfriend or her family. See, don't you see what's going on? Everybody is half-ass living. Because he's a grown-ass man with a girlfriend. Well, what are you doing living with her and her parents or her family? Even if we don't even really know if that's true, but let's just say hypothetically it's true. Why aren't you out living with your girlfriend in a separate home or apartment? And we do know it's harder times now. Rent is higher. Many people probably just can't afford rent on their own, so they need a roommate or have other people help them pay rent. But the fact that you couldn't try to come and do something to help this woman and your 2 children by her is baffling to me. And trust me, under that video, there were a lot of negative comments about the baby daddy. A lot of negative comments. Evelyn Boswell, rest in heaven, baby. We got justice for you, amen. Thank you, Jesus. I'm going to show you that video pertaining to the baby daddy. Here is the 2 of her children. I want you all to give me your honest opinion of the disposition of this black man in this video.
Big story of the night. A father speaking to us tonight after learning 2 of his kids died from exposure to the cold in a casino parking lot.
Yesterday, 7 News Detroit reporter Darren Cunningham spoke to the mother of those 2 kids about the tragic situation.
Yesterday, I woke them up to wake them up from school.
So the kids were going to school.
I wasn't moving. And I kept saying, Sonny, please get up. Please.
Well, tonight, Darren is getting the father's side of this story, hearing about the moment he learned 2 of his children had passed away.
Darnell Curry Sr. wiped away tears while talking with me about his children, Darnell Jr. and Amelia, and the distressing phone call he says he took from their mother, Tatiana Williams, on Monday.
I went to the gym. As soon as I got on the treadmill, she called saying, can I make it to the hospital right now? I was hoping it was a sick joke, but it wasn't.
According to Detroit police, 9-year-old Darnell Jr. and 2-year-old Amelia died while sleeping in a vehicle at the Hollywood Casino at Greektown parking garage. Investigators say the cause appears to be hypothermia, a tragedy stemming from homelessness.
I tried. I asked for help. I asked everybody, even people out of state. I tried to keep hotels. I tried to pay people to stay there. It wasn't working for me. You know, people just didn't like too many kids at their house.
I spoke with the children's mother Tuesday evening.
I'm going to hit.
Now we're going to.
Oh, sorry about that.
Big story.
Oh, Lord.
Father speaking to us.
Hold on, everybody.
2 of his kids died from exposure.
Sorry about that. What I want to ask is, try paying people. So people are going to ask, where did she get money from? 1, did she work? 2, did she draw a disability check? 3, did she get disability checks for her children? Or was she receiving state welfare? Many programs are very strict now as far as giving women cash monies for the children. You have to either be going to work or going to school. So we have to ask those questions. Was she working part-time, going to school, and or did she draw disability for herself or her children or all of the above? Because in order to pay somebody, you have to be getting money from somewhere. So where was she getting funds to offer people money to stay in their home with her children? And how long has she been homeless total, alongside with her mother as well? Because her mother had children, older children that were living in that van. I'm trying to understand how you have all these people living in a van, because she had 5 kids in the van plus herself. That's 6 people. Her mother would make 7. Okay. So I'm trying to understand if they're grouping the mother's children in with the 5. Either way, it's still a lot of people. Then you got to count your clothes, your toiletries. That van had to be packed. And everybody knows that a van is weighed down and it wears and tear on a car or vehicle packed down with stuff. Number 2, when your van or car is packed down, it also wears out your gas. If you did not know this, you burn more gas if you have your car or truck packed down. So this is why you don't pack your trucks and cars down with a lot of debris. You know, bigger trucks can hold more things, but you know, you're carrying extra weight when you have a car or truck or van packed down. So you burn more gas. It's a very baffling story.
Exposure to the cold in a casino parking lot.
Yesterday, 7 News Detroit reporter Darren Cunningham spoke to the mother of those two kids about the tragic situation.
Let me get to the father.
Well, tonight, Darren is getting the father's side of this story, hearing about the moment he learned 2 of his children had passed away.
Darnell Curry Sr. wiped away tears while talking with me about his children, Darnell Jr., and the distressing phone call he says he took from their mother, Tatiana Williams, on Monday.
I went to the gym. As soon as I got on the treadmill, she called saying, "Can I make it to the hospital right now?" I was hoping it was a sick joke, but it wasn't.
According to Detroit police, 9-year-old Darnell Jr. and 2-year-old Amelia died while sleeping in a vehicle at the Hollywood Casino at Greektown parking garage. Investigators say the cause appears to be hypothermia, a tragedy stemming from homelessness.
I tried. I asked for help. I asked everybody, even people out of state, but I tried. I tried to keep hotels. I tried to pay people to stay there. It wasn't working for me. You know, people just didn't have any kids at their house.
I spoke with the children's mother Tuesday evening. She told me she's been living in her vehicle for 3 months, along with her 4 kids, her mother, and 2 teenage siblings. She says she reached out to Curry, who's the father of...
Okay, 4 kids and 2 siblings.
I said, "Can you get your kids for me?" I said, "I need help. You know I'm homeless. I done kept a room this long. I couldn't keep it no more."
They were homeless. Had Tatiana ever reached out asking to...
No, she did not. All she said was, "Can I get them? Can I get them? Just to get them, and can I get them because you're homeless?" That's 2 different things.
She said she had been homeless for 3 months.
See, that's what I saw, about 3 months, but she ain't never said nothing to me. Nothing. So all them other side stories, you can cut all that. No, she did not.
Wow.
Curry, who lives in Novi, says Williams never specified why she wanted to drop their kids off to him.
She just asked, "Can I get them for a couple of days?" But I told her I'm working and all that, and I'm out here. We're not close to each other, so I couldn't. But she knows all my family is right around the corner from her.
Did she reach out to any of your family?
No, she did not.
Why didn't she reach out?
Like we always used to do.
He says the last time he held his children was a month or 2 ago, and that they typically FaceTime, moments he will miss. And there's a police investigation into this. What is it you would like to see come of this? Obviously, nothing's going to bring back your 9-year-old and your 2-year-old.
It doesn't matter to me. Can't get them back, so it's whatever.
Darren Cunningham, 7 News Detroit.
Oops, sorry about that.
No, you cannot get them back. Our heart aches for this family. I mean, there's so many people reaching out, trying to help. And, I would just say, to anybody in our community, if your children are cold and go inside somewhere, beg for help if you can, so nothing like this ever happens again.
And as I learned today, there are shelters in those kind of situations, even if it's not ideal. Shelters are your best policy at that point.
Shelters, there are churches, there are people who will take you in. And I know she says she asked for help, so we are not blaming the mother, because this is absolute heartache. But I'm speaking to anybody else out there. If you're in this situation, please go beg for help. Go knock on a church door. They will let you in before they let you stay out in the cold, and your children could possibly die. That won't happen. Please knock on a door and ask for help.
Please do. All right.
Okay. So we got this information about this man speaking about his kids. You can see he doesn't have any empathy. He said he don't want to hear the sob story. So weigh in, everybody. Weigh in. Is he telling the truth about the situation? Oh, Lord, why this won't? Hold on, everybody. I'm trying to get a picture of this first. What's the truth? because you're always going to have two versions. His version, her version, and the truth. So 3 months of homelessness, she never told him why she needed him to help take care of the kids for a couple of days. What was she trying to do in a couple of days at the time that she asked for his help? Did he ask her, why do you need to keep, I need to keep the kids for a couple of days? What was his actual answer to her? Hey, they can't stay here. I live with somebody else. I live with this woman, blah, blah, blah. I live with her family. What's the truth? What is the cause of the homelessness? We got to start there. How many places has she lived in 3 months? I think she was homeless before the 3 months, because my understanding, in one interview, they said she was staying with some people before that, spring or summer. So how long has she actually been homeless? She lived on the east side of Detroit at one point in an apartment, I believe. What happened to that place? Did she get evicted because she not afford her rent? Because as you hear, she's saying, I could pay people to stay, but they don't want a lot of people in their house, a lot of kids in her house, understandably. So where is she getting money from? When was the last time these two were together? Why are they not together? Has he been paying her child support? Does he help her pay bills, pay for the children? When was the last time he's seen his children? I believe he said something about a month beforehand. So how often did he see the children? Well, he said he lived too far from her to get the kids and take care of them. Well, you know, Queen is going to Google. Shut your mouth. Well, sir, Queen has a map of where you say you live versus Detroit, Michigan. And I'll let everybody see for themselves. Detroit, Michigan. Novi, Michigan. 29.1 miles away from each other. A 31-minute drive. That's nowhere. 30 minutes is not far. And especially not when you're talking about the care of your children. So you live 31 minutes from Detroit, and yet you say you live too far from her. 30 minutes is nowhere. That's the average distance of a suburb, 15 to 30 minutes from a major city. Come on now. So what's the truth to why this woman was homeless? And why didn't you ask her, why do I need to keep the kids? What's going on? What's the problem? So now we got to ask this question. If she was homeless for 3 months and he saw, I think, the kids a month or so before, well, where did he see the children at? Come on with it, Queen. Sir, where did you visit the children and how did you see the children? Did you meet her in a public place, McDonald's, Burger King parking lot? She took them to your house with this girl? You met her at somebody's house? Help me understand. Help me understand. I'm confused.
Police. 9-year-old Darnell Jr. and 2-year-old Amelia.
He learned 2 of his children had passed away.
Darnell Curry Sr. wiped away tears while talking with me about his children, Darnell Jr. and Amelia, and the distressing phone call he says he took from their mother, Tatiana Williams, on Monday.
I went to the gym. As soon as I got on the treadmill, she called saying, can I make it to the hospital right now? They got me. I was hoping it was a sick joke, but it wasn't.
According to Detroit police, 9-year-old Darnell Jr. and 2-year-old Amelia died while sleeping in a vehicle at the Hollywood Casino at Greektown parking garage. Investigators say the cause appears to be hypothermia, a tragedy stemming from homelessness.
I tried. I asked for help. I asked everybody, even people out of state, but I tried to keep hotels, I tried to pay people to stay there. It wasn't working for me. You know, people just didn't like too many kids at their house.
I spoke with the children's mother Tuesday evening. She told me she's been living in her vehicle for 3 months, along with her 4 kids, her mother, and 2 teenage siblings. She says she reached out to Curry, who's the father of 3 of her children.
I asked him, I said, can you get your kids for me? I said, I need help. You know I'm homeless. I kept a room this long.
So she said she was homeless.
They were homeless. Had Tatiana ever reached out asking to?
No, she did not. All she said was, can I get them? Can I get them? Just to get them, and can I get them? Because you're homeless, that's 2 different things.
She said she had been homeless for 3 months.
See, that's what I saw about 3 months, but she ain't never said nothing to me. Nothing. So all them other side stories.
I don't understand what he said. I saw her for 3 months.
To me. Nothing. So all them other side stories, they can cut all that. No, she didn't. Homeless, that's 2 different things.
She said she had been homeless for 3 months.
See, that's what I saw about 3 months, but she ain't never said nothing to me.
I saw her about 3 months.
Nothing. So all them other side stories, they can cut all that. No, she did not.
Curry, who lives in Novi, said,
What's the truth? He said I saw her for about 3 months. So is he trying to say he hadn't seen her in 3 months? So are we talking about a woman who got homeless before or after she spoke with him? I'm confused. When you last talked to her, was it 3 months ago, sir, when she first became homeless? And did you all just talk on the phone? And you said, no, I can't pick them up. They can't come here. She's saying, I did tell him I was homeless. He's saying, no, she did not. She only told me she wanted me to take the kids for a couple of days. What's the truth? Something's off with this story because it always is. I'm not here to blame the mother because I don't really know what the hell she had going on. But 2 adults, something's very strange. It's she, 4 children, that's 5. Her mother, 6. And her mother's older children, which was 2, that's 8 people sleeping in a van. So I want everybody to put their thinking caps on and ask yourself how 8 people are sleeping in a van, but only 2 people are dead. And the weird part about the story is they call them one friend to come to the car, the van, to pick up one of the children to take to the emergency room. And then when they get to the emergency room, they get another call to come back to the van to pick up another dead kid. So you mean to tell me one kid perished, and then while you're en route to the hospital or at the hospital, another kid is dead, and then that same relative rushes back to the car, or, friend rushes back to the car to get the 9-year-old. So we're talking about a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old. What is really going on? Because with that many people sleeping in a van, I get it. It was cold. It was in the teens. And they said they only had a few blankets. The 2-year-old was in a pull-up and a T-shirt, and the 9-year-old was in a T-shirt and a jogging pants, joggers. So they didn't have on ample clothes to be sleeping in the van in the first place. They should have had on, scarf, hats, socks, shoes, booties, or something to keep their feet warm. Hell, at least 2 pairs of socks. Sweater, sweatshirt, earmuffs, keep you warm. So were the 2-year-old and the 9-year-old sleeping together, side by side? Because I'm trying to piece together how they all were sleeping. I would assume the mother sleeping in the front seat, the grandmother sleeping in the passenger seat, and then you would probably have 2 rows of seats So that would leave 3 in one row, 3 in another, let's say, comfortably. But yet, a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old are dead, and then her other 2 are alive, and then the 2 older siblings that are related to her are alive. Help us understand. So what are the ages of the older 2 siblings? And what are the ages of the other 2 children that survived? This is a wicked story coming out of Detroit, Michigan. Allegedly, they all were sleeping in the van. I've not got information that anybody was outside of the van or left the children unattended. People are going to ask, why did you park at the casino hotel? Did you feel safer there because there would be more cars and people coming and going? Less chance of getting robbed or your van broke into? Or are we going to find out that you and your mother were inside the casino gambling and left the children unattended? I have not heard that yet. She has not been charged. As you see, she's doing interviews, so she has not been charged by the district attorney nor arrested. But I'm assuming they're waiting on autopsy reports for both of the children, and then they will make a decision from the autopsy reports. What will the autopsy reports reveal? In one interview, she says the children didn't die from hypothermia. So my thing is, well, if they didn't die from hypothermia, then what did they die from? Because that's an odd statement to make considering it's below 32 degrees. So what other ailments could 2 separate children die from? Are we going to find out that the children were murdered? Checkmate. I hope not. Either way, it's a horrible situation. Whether they froze to death or they were unalived by somebody in that damn van. Please tell me they were not killed by other children. Sweet Jesus. That's my commentary, everybody. When I get an update to this story, I will bring it to you. When I get more information pertaining to Megan Boswell, that will probably be months down the road. It'll be warmer when we hear this story again when she goes to court for her sentencing. I'm praying that she gets consecutive sentences for the other 16 charges against her. She has been found guilty on all 19 counts. 3 including first-degree murder of Evelyn Boswell, her 15-month-old daughter. The state has given their commentary, which I played, and her attorney has given his commentary, and also her attorney has filed a motion on her behalf this afternoon to seek a new trial for insufficient evidence and possible double jeopardy on the false report charges. I believe she's guilty of everything that the state charged her with. That's my public opinion. I do not have remorse for Megan Boswell. She unalived her child. She was cruel to her child. She was filthy, nasty. She had her child living in a nasty trailer, filthy trailer with fecal matter, open milk jugs, filth. I have no remorse. I feel nothing for her. And she don't feel nothing. And she didn't even speak on her own behalf in court to try to ask for mercy. So that shows me she don't care about herself. And that's the reason why Evelyn is not here. And when you see and hear the testimony from the mother, you can get a general idea of what type of life she and her brother had and siblings had under the roof of her mother. Her mother's a known drug addict. She didn't have a decent life. Her parents fought a lot. But in the end, Megan could have reached out for help and she chose not to, and that was her choice. Weigh in on this story here. Drop your comments below this video and let me know what you think pertaining to the information of Megan Boswell today in court, the ruling of being found guilty, 51 years she has to do before being eligible for parole, what's going to happen with her other charges, should they be consecutive or concurrent, and do you believe this woman's version about her homeless situation, or do you believe the version from this man that she never told him that she and the kids were homeless? Who's lying in this story? Because somebody's lying. Somebody's not telling the truth. How did this woman become homeless? Why is she homeless with her kids and also her mother and her kids, which are her brothers, sisters, whomever? What's the truth? Like, share, subscribe, drop the comments below this video. Take the polls on my community page. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeganJu129 Cash App. Thank you for your time. This is live number 2. God bless America. Thank the jury, the state, those who helped investigate this case, TBI, Sheriff's Department, detectives, all those who testified and helped bring some type of information pertaining to Megan Boswell, Evelyn's life. Thank the jury. Thank the judge. Thank the state. Thank you for your time that you dedicated to this case. And may Evelyn rest in heaven. Justice was served. Some bit of justice has been served on behalf of this child. Amen. Prayers for also a resolution to Summerwell's case and Sebastian Rogers. As most of you know, the 26th will be vastly approaching. And 1 year ago on the 26th, a bio donor claimed her son went missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Will we get closure in both of these cases? I don't know. You all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Check out my community page once again for all said updates to stories, breaking news, and I'll be back with more stimulating content. The next live stream will be pertaining to Robert Theodore Kelly, R. Kelly. New update pertaining to his convictions and a case of a woman who contracted herpes from him allegedly, and his lawyer is now saying she's being compensated too much money for the meds that have been prescribed to her to treat this disease, and they're saying she needs to get a generic form of, I guess that's Valtrex. This is the craziest shit I've ever heard. But anyway, I'll be back with that commentary a little bit later on. I'll probably come on in the wee hours, the late night, to do that commentary due to the nature of the information. So look forward to seeing that next live stream pertaining to Robert Kelly. Thank you all so much. God bless you. You have been listening to the Vault XL.